All right, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about FinOps, but I want you to forget the boring accounting spreadsheets and the financial jargon. We're going to reframe this as a core strategic capability for every single platform engineer. And this isn't some far-off dream. By 2026, getting this right is going to be a fundamental part of your toolkit. Yeah, this quote just nails it, right? Cloud costs do not magically fix themselves. And the thing is, platform engineers don't need another financial dashboard to ignore. What they need is cost intelligence that's woven directly into the workflows they already use. It's about putting that crucial cost data right where the code is being written and where the infrastructure decisions are actually being made. So, what's the deal? Why are the old tools just not cutting it anymore? Well, think of it this way. Using those tools to manage modern cloud costs is like trying to navigate a city like New York or Tokyo with a hand-drawn map. Sure, you can see the main streets, but you are missing all the real-time dynamics. The traffic jams, the detours, the pop-up events. You're completely missing the context. And that's exactly the problem when you're dealing with constantly changing containers and shared Kubernetes clusters. And this gets us to this core conflict, what I like to call the cloud cost paradox. On one hand, platform engineering is fantastic because it empowers all your teams with self-service. But on the other hand, that exact same freedom, if you don't govern it, can quickly lead to out-of-control infrastructure sprawl and costs that just balloon. In this paradox, it breaks down into four big struggles for platform teams. First off, the goal is often wrong. They're chasing these small, tactical cost savings instead of focusing on maximizing strategic business value. Second, there are these huge visibility gaps. A standard AWS bill might as well be written in another language when you have 50 different services sharing one little node pool. Third, integration friction. This one's a killer. The second a developer has to leave their terminal and go to some separate dashboard, you've already lost the battle. And finally, you have the paradox of self-service itself. You have to build guardrails that guide developers toward good decisions without totally killing their speed. Okay, so before we even think about which tool to buy, we need to take a step back. We need a fundamental mindset shift. We need a whole new strategic framework for how we even approach this problem. And this is what that new mindset looks like. FinOps for platform engineering isn't about the finance team wagging their finger at engineers telling them to spend less. No. It's about empowering engineers with the right data and the right context so they can make cost-conscious decisions themselves. And here's the key part, without sacrificing velocity. It's a culture, not just another control mechanism. And to help us navigate, we've got this awesome compass. It's called the 4Rs framework: report, recommend, remediate, and retain. Now look, most of the tools out there, they're pretty good at the first two, reporting costs and recommending some savings. But the real magic, the place where you actually build a competitive edge, that's in the last two, actually remediating the issues, and most importantly, retaining a culture of awareness. That part requires a deep, contextual knowledge of your business. So with that framework locked in, now we can talk tools. What are the absolute non-negotiables? What does a tool have to do to even get considered platform ready in the first place? Think of this as your essential shopping list. First question, does the tool speak Kubernetes fluently, attributing costs all the way down to the namespace and the label? Is it API first, so you can pull its data and stick it anywhere you want? Can it flag an oversized instance in a Terraform pull request before it gets deployed? And yeah, you see green ops on here. That's not just a nice to have anymore, because efficient code is sustainable code, and sustainability metrics are becoming a major business driver. And of course, we have to talk about AI. But look, the real game changer here isn't just about getting slightly smarter recommendations. It's the big shift to what we call contextual automation. We're talking about AI that doesn't just tap you on the shoulder with an idea. It actually understands what's happening right now and can proactively make automated decisions for you, like managing all your reserved instances 24/7. All right, we've got our framework, we've got our checklist, so let's go look at the landscape of tools. But we're not just going to list a bunch of features. We're going to categorize them by their core philosophy because the right tool for you is almost always a direct reflection of your company's culture. And when you look at it this way, you start to see these really distinct philosophies pop up. For a big, governance-heavy enterprise, something like IBM's suite might be the perfect fit. If your entire world lives and breathes inside Datadog, well, their cost tool's kind of a no-brainer. For teams that just want to set it and forget it, for Kubernetes, Cast AI's autonomous approach is super compelling. And then you have these emerging players like Pump.co who are totally changing how you even interact with a system, using things like natural language. And to really see how wide this spectrum is, just look at these two completely opposite paths to remediation. On one end, you've got the governance-first approach with tools like ServiceNow, perfect for regulated industries that need those audit trails and approval workflows. On the complete other end of the spectrum, you have autonomous-first tools like Anti-Metal, where an AI is basically your 24/7 autopilot for AWS commitments, no humans required. This really drives home the deep cultural choice you have to make. Okay, let's say you've figured out your philosophy, and maybe you've even picked a tool. Great. But that's honestly only half the battle. Your implementation strategy, how you actually roll this out, is what will ultimately determine whether this whole thing succeeds or fails. And probably the single most important strategic decision you're going to make is this: what to buy versus what to build. And let me be super clear here. Do not waste your best engineers' time building a multi-cloud billing aggregator. That is a solved commodity problem. Just buy it off the shelf. Instead, focus your engineers on building the custom pieces that are your secret sauce, your competitive advantage, your unique remediation workflows, your specific attribution models, and your deep integrations into your developer portal. That's where you create real, lasting value. And, let's just circle back to our 4Rs framework for a second, because this is so important. A tool can help you report. It can recommend. It might even help you remediate. But those first 3 Rs are basically useless in the long run without the fourth one: retain. Retaining a culture of cost awareness, well, that's a human and process challenge. It's about creating a shared responsibility framework, and technology by itself just can't solve that for you. So, how do you actually get started without causing a total meltdown? You do it in phases. It's a simple 3-step process. Step 1 is pure visibility. For 30 days, just let teams see their costs. No rules, no blame, just information. Once that awareness starts to take hold, then you can move to step 2 and gradually introduce guardrails. Start with soft alerts, then maybe some hard limits on really obvious waste. And only then, once the culture is shifting, do you do step 3 and deeply integrate these cost controls into your portals and CI/CD pipeline. And the crazy part is, the payoff for this can be incredibly fast. Research shows you can start seeing real productivity improvements within just 6 to 12 weeks. So how do you measure it? You track the time people get back, the reduction in wasted resources, and even developer satisfaction. The key question is, are your controls helping them make better decisions without slowing them down? You should have an answer to that within a single quarter. And that brings us right back to the main point of all of this. This isn't someone else's job anymore. FinOps has fundamentally shifted. It is now a core competency, a crucial capability that every single platform engineer needs to master. It's about building platforms that are self-managing, efficient, and deliver huge value to the business. So I'm going to leave you with this one thought. Your FinOps platform, it's not something you can just buy off a shelf. It's a strategic capability you have to build by combining the right tools, the right processes, and the right culture. And the only question left really is, how are you going to build yours? Thanks for tuning in.